Welcome to Hope is Here. My name is Greg Horn. We are continuing our conversation with Rusty George. Some of that name may sound familiar. He was on staff at Southland Christian and actually was the founder of the 608 service that so many people love to attend. It's still going on Richmond Road at 6:08 p.m. on Sunday nights. And Rusty is now out in Valencia, California. He has he took over a church called Real Life Church, and he's been there 11 years, and the church has grown to over 6,000 people in 3 campuses, and he's also an author. And we've been talking to him about a book that he's got coming out in February called Better Together. And we talked to him yesterday about the book, and hope that you'll catch the podcast if you miss it out. You can find that at our website, hopeishere.today. But I want to continue talking to him today about that book. And what he's trying to say is that, obviously you hear better together, but it's not just being together. It's about being connected. But, Rusty, I love one of the sections in the book. I could really relate to that. I'd love to be more together and connect with people, but I just got to be honest, man. Everyone drives me crazy.
Yeah, I wrote a lot about just my own personal struggles with people there, and I love the line by comedian George Carlin where he says that there's 2 kinds of drivers. There's the people that drive faster than me who are maniacs, and the people that drive slower than me that are idiots. And you think about that is pretty much the way we view drivers, because unless they drive exactly like me, then they're either crazy or they're idiots. And that's the way most of us view people around us. I mean, you think about going to the grocery store. Somebody cuts you off. Somebody's in front of you. Somebody's taking their time and you can't get around them. Or, you go to the express lane and they've got, 16 items in the 15-item line and you're counting and they're not. And it's so frustrating. And then you get out in the parking lot and there's people, that you're backing out and they honk at you as they drive by, and that's frustrating. Then you go home, which is supposed to be the safe place, and you got teenagers and they're doing ridiculous things and saying ridiculous things, and you're trying to figure out, how do you navigate all this? It's so easy in our minds, because in our minds we're always the ones that are right. It's so easy to think, why would I want to invest in other people, build relationships with people, let them weigh in on my life when everybody around me drives me crazy or everybody around me is an idiot? I think that's kind of the world that we create for ourselves. And so when we talk about this principle of, we really are better together, I think everybody goes, oh yeah, that's right. I mean, we sing songs about it, we see movies about it, we watch Remember the Titans and we all cry because of the unity on that team. But let's face it, beyond high school, most of us never experience that again. And we view the value of it as good, but our mentality is, life is crazy, people are drama, why in the world would I mix the two? So part of my journey was to recognize that not everybody's an idiot, and I might be the idiot in their life, and I might be the one driving them crazy. And part of that is allowing other people to weigh in on your life so that you can really be better together.
Well, and the thing I love that you talk about in the book, Rusty, is, you talk about, Jesus, obviously God, sent his one and only son and, could have saved the world by himself, but he chose 12 guys. And yet, as we go through the Bible and hear about different things about these guys, this is in Christian love, as the word says, but you would think, man, why'd he pick that idiot?
I know. It is pretty humorous to look at some of the stories of these guys. I mean, we have the benefit of hindsight. We can look back and see what we now know. But, at the time, first of all, this group of 12 guys, first of all, they don't all get along. Most of them are adamantly opposed to each other's sociological or even political beliefs. And Jesus assembles this ragtag group of guys, and they just keep doing ridiculous things. One of my favorites is, he is... he teaches, and he's got all these people there, and the disciples come to him with a problem. And, Greg, I know you as a leader, you just love when people come to you with problems and not solutions. But they just come to him with a problem and go, hey, we got to feed them. What are we going to do? And Jesus says, you guys figure it out. And so they go and they find a sack lunch that they robbed from this kid. and they say, this is all we got. And, and Jesus obviously prays, and he feeds 5,000 people, and they just counted the men then, so it's probably more like 15,000 people with this kid's Happy Meal. And then you flip over like 2 chapters, and I don't know how much time passes, but it can't be that long in between the 2 times. Now they have 4,000 people, and they don't know how they're going to feed him. can they not remember this is the guy that just prayed over a sack lunch and fed 5,000 people, and now you even got even less? And Jesus has got to be thinking, who are these guys, you know? And then there's obviously the times that they're arguing about who's greater and who's going to sit on your right or who's going to sit on your left. And I love the transfiguration scene when, you know, they're able to see this incredible thing of Moses and Elijah on the side of Jesus. And Peter starts talking. And this is such a great little line, and I heard another pastor just kind of reference this. I thought it was so brilliant. But, you know, Peter starts talking about, we're going to build a shelter for every one of them, and then we're going to, and God interrupts Peter to say what he wants to say. And this pastor that I heard talk about this said, that's because God knows that what Peter's about to say is so stupid, he just needs to interrupt him.
Yeah.
It's so great when you see God interrupt him. And, you know, you just look at these guys and you think, man, these people make the most ridiculous decisions. Yet Jesus, who could have very easily done everything that he did on his own, he keeps bringing them into the loop, keeps sharing his life with them, and keeps entrusting them with responsibilities. And it's just this beautiful moment of him building community with people that really did not deserve it. And that's certainly what we think. When we back away from community with other people, we think, you don't deserve my time, you don't deserve knowing my life, you don't deserve being a part of my life. And Jesus could have easily said that, and yet he keeps leaning towards people.
Well, I love that story, Rusty, sharing that, you know, how he did that, would forgive the disciples. And I know there are people that are listening to Hope Is Here. I know a guy that listens to the podcast in Florida and is discouraged. And yet, you know, sometimes some of the things that we need to do is just forgive people because, unfortunately, we all make mistakes, don't we?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we really do. And that's the thing. I mean, as much as we want to sit around and talk about how, you know, other people have wronged us and what they should have done and how they should have treated us, I mean, that's just an endless cycle. And the reality is somebody's doing that towards us right now. Somebody's sitting around thinking about what we should have done and how we could have handled things better and reacted better. And the quicker you keep, you know, clear accounts with people and short accounts with people and just settle things quickly, and I'm sorry, I forgive you, let's move on, the better off you are, and the more prepared you are for community. And to your friend in Florida and to everybody else who's looking for hope, one of the quickest ways to begin to see the light of hope is just to start clearing the accounts that you have on a lot of people that you have held a grudge against. I learned from a grief therapist years ago that, he gave me this task. He said, sit down, get out a notebook, write down the name of somebody who's offended you, and then I want you to write 3 things. I want you to write, I'm sorry, and then write out what you're sorry for. And then I want you to write, I forgive you, and write what you forgive. And then I'm proud of you. And you find something about that person you can celebrate. Just write it down. You don't ever have to share it with them. Just write it down. And so I remember one night thinking, okay, well, I'll do that exercise. It'll take me about 10 minutes. About 3 hours later, I was still writing as I'm walking through all these people in my life. Because you think about it, we are so good at compressing all of our bitterness and anger that after a while we don't even think about it anymore, but it's still there. And it comes out in the strangest of places. Our friend Mike Bro used to always say, people are like tubes of toothpaste, you know, when you squeeze them, whatever's inside always comes out. And it is. That's the crucible of life. And so the quicker we can kind of clear those accounts with people, the more likely we are to find hope and be in a position to experience community.
Well, you know, one of the things you talked about in the book that I also really liked is that one of the reasons people sometimes don't want to get in community or do life with other people, you know, they use the old excuse, you know, my life is busy enough, you know, I've got kids, I don't have enough time or emotional bandwidth for anyone else. And then the next sentence you put in your book I thought was so huge. It says, but what we really mean is we don't want to risk being hurt again.
Yeah, you take somebody that's up at, you know, at my age, or certainly at your age, Greg. You know, I mean,
that's right,
you're
baby.
Up there now, but you know, you have enough people that have hurt you, enough people that have let you down, that it's so easy to start thinking, I trust no one. And I love the line that a lot of us remember from Ronald Reagan of trust but verify. which is so true. And I'm not saying you have to have blind trust, but there is a need for us to begin to let others in. And I think the balance there, because we're all scared of being hurt, we see the balance in the way Jesus dealt with his disciples. There's this great line in one of the Gospels where all these people are praising Jesus at the onset of his ministry because of all the miracles. And it says, but Jesus did not entrust his heart to them because he knew the heart of men. And what it's basically saying is he doesn't allow people's praise to be how he values or evaluates himself, but instead he entrusts his heart to his Father. There's a difference there between trusting people and entrusting yourself to people. When you entrust yourself to somebody, you are saying, your opinion of me is what matters most to me. And that can certainly work in a marriage. It can certainly work in a family because you found somebody to entrust your life to, and that's why the pain of betrayal or divorce hurts us so bad. But the reality is, what we're saying when we don't want to do community with people is, I can't entrust myself to you. And that's okay. Because what Jesus said was, the only person I will entrust myself to is the Father, which is a great principle for us to live by. But on the other hand, he still trusted the disciples. He trusted them with his mission. He trusted him with the church. He trusted them with miracles. He sent them out to heal people. He trusted them with all the things that he had said. So there are responsibilities he trusts people with, even so much as the friendship that they experienced, the Last Supper, the denials, all those kind of things. And yet Jesus continues to come back to them afterwards and trust them. But he entrusts his personal, who he is, his heart, to his Father. And so for all of us scared of having people take advantage of us, I get it. And it's going to happen. It just will. And you can still trust people, but remain entrusted to your Father.
Amen. That's good, man. If you just tuned in, we're talking with Rusty George. Rusty was formerly on staff at Southland Christian Church in Lexington, Kentucky. Started the 608 service and relocated to California to become lead pastor at Real Life Church in Valencia, California. And God's just done great things under his leadership there. Church has grown to over 6,000 people and 3 campuses. And, you know, Rusty, just a side note from the book, I mean, obviously you grew up in the Midwest and you came and lived in Lexington for a while. Then you moved out to California. I got to imagine that's got to be a little bit of a culture shock, man.
Yeah, absolutely. At first, and everybody that moves to California, it's, the first 6 months are like, this is so cool, I'm living in California. Then after a while, you're like, this is crazy, I'm living in California. I mean, the traffic is nuts, and, it's really hot in the summertime, and, those of us that live in the Midwest, we always assume that California is what you see on TV or the movies, or just beaches and people surfing all the time, and that's not it at all. I mean, there's a lot of heat. You deal with earthquakes, you deal with fires, you deal with mudslides, you deal with traffic, you deal with population crises, and it's, and on top of all that, I mean, there's not a lot of people out there that have any kind of church background at all, and if they do, they hated it and they ran from it. So church is just something that they do if they have to. And a lot of people would say, why would I even do that? So that's been a true culture we've had to, engage with and try to figure out a way to help people see the value of it and the need to be a part of it. And that's been part of the journey as well. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, it's been really cool to see what God's done there. We got to wrap up today's program, but Rusty's going to stay with us for one more as we talk about his new book that's coming out in February called Better Together. So I hope you'll tune in tomorrow at 12:45 p.m. for Hope is Here.
Do you have a real estate question and don't know where to start? Contact Cecil Holmes with Rector Hayden Realtors. Whether you're in the market, looking to buy, sell, or rent a house, Cecil Holmes would be glad to help you with any real estate questions you have. Give him a call today at 326-0756. That's 326-0756. Cecil Holmes with Rector Hayden Realtors.